So hello, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Aston Martin Works, and today is the day. When I say it's the day, it's spray day. So we've been building up to this for months now. This journey all started because the condition of the paint on my DBS was, how do we put it, suboptimal. But we thought if we were going to respray it, why would we respray it its original black? So we had the honor last year of creating a limited edition Aston Martin DBX. So as part of that program, we created our very own paint, which is based on Valkyrie paint technology. It's a beautiful finish and it's designed to show off the incredible contours of whatever surface it goes on. So today, Aston Martin Works have mixed for us one more batch of this very special paint, and today they're going to spray it to our newly refurbed Aston Martin DBS. Since Steve did the original teardown of the car, identified a load of problems which we had, it's now being handed over to Lewis, who's our spray ninja, who's going to run us through the complete application of preparing the car before it gets sprayed in Lennox Green. So today's the big day, the day which I get all childlike about, right? So, and it's been a really long time coming. Can you run us through effectively the process that's happened since the guys last saw the car being taken apart to this stage now?
So once the car had been taken apart, we'd strip the majority of the paintwork off with like a DA sander.
Okay.
And then after that, we'd guide coat it. Guide coat is like a black aerosol.
Okay.
So it's just like black, like satin black paint.
Okay.
And then that will sit in any low spots. We put a flat surface being the block over that. If there is a dent or an imperfection, that guide coat will still be there, and we know, look, there's panel shape there. We have to address it.
So that goes down first?
Yep, so just a little mist coat on.
Okay.
And then you block it with, I think we've done 120 or 180, depending on how bad it was.
Okay.
And then you flat it all down, ensure it was all flat.
Okay.
And we prime the car. And then, since it's been primed, we've then guide coated it again. So the black mist coat. Blocked it with a finer sandpaper, which is 320. And then guide coated it again to highlight the scratches from the 320. And then DA'd it with 500.
So that's why you layer it, is to highlight any imperfections in the previous process.
Because if you have 320 scratches at this stage, it could potentially show through the paint. Where there's a scratch, the metallic could sit differently in that scratch, and you can see a black line, or depending on the colour, that line. We had corrosion up here.
Yes.
We had to take that all the way back, wire all the corrosion out.
Okay.
And then epoxy prime it to protect the metal again, because if you don't epoxy prime the metal, then corrosion's just going to come back again.
Right.
So you have to seal it all in. And then obviously priming it how we do and then blocking it ensures we've got perfect shape, nice body lines, and the car's going to come out as good as possible.
Mate, this is such a satisfying process.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what? It was a cathartic thing with Steve. I mean, it was amazing. I remember him literally pulling out the first screw and going, that's not factory. Yeah. And I was like, it's all downhill from here. I was like, that's it. It's game over. So to know that it's here in your hands, in Steve's hands, in your team's hands, you know, identifying all of these things which are wrong with it and knowing that it's going to go back basically to like factory fresh is super nerdy awesome. If not loving it. So, if not better, this is the major transformation paint day.
Yes. So we need to clean it now, and then we'll get what's called a tack cloth. So any little bits of debris or dirt, dust, whatever you want to call it, wipe it off. Okay. But then that creates static. So we have to get an anti-static gun and then go over the whole car after that as well to ensure there's no static on the car, no dirt's going to be drawn towards the car. Right. And just ensure that everything falls away from it when we paint it.
Crikey. So how many processes would you say is there in this paint job?
So there's what I call a half coat, which goes on first. So that can highlight any bust throughs so they don't ring up. Any imperfections, although we clean it as much as we do, if there is a little bit of like silicone or stuff on there which is going to make the paint react, we can address it then rather than having to address it through a full coat of paint, if that makes sense. Okay. So you put that half coat on and then you can flat it down if there is any imperfections. You're not having to go through so much paint and but then after that, a full coat of paint, have a look around once it's dry, check for any dirt, imperfections. Yes. If it's all good, another full coat of paint, and then after that, if there's no dirt, imperfections, so on and so forth, we then do what's called like a drop coat, and then after that, it's 2 coats of lacquer.
2 coats of
15 minutes apart.
On top of that, okay, 15 minutes apart, and that's on top of all of the prime and prep work that you've done too. So Never take a paint job for granted. It's honestly, since my very limited experience in this world mixing paint with Aston, I've never looked at paint the same way again. It is truly a science, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's an unbelievable world.
Yep.
Lewis has teased me with having a go at spraying a panel,
yeah,
which you're going to have to respray.
No, I'm sure you'll be fine.
No, dude, you're going to have to respray this panel. All of your fine work's going to go out of the window swiftly.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
Okay, so these are all of the other panels.
Yep.
Right, okay. When I see it like this, it kind of contextualizes that it's like a major strip down.
Oh, of course,
it's a big job.
You almost forget about how many panels you actually have on a car when it's all together, when it's all apart and on trestles.
So effectively, to spray the car, you've allocated 2 booths to it.
Oh yeah, and we've got a few more little bits we might have to do after the fact as well.
Oh, okay.
Like boot hinges, bonnet hinges, mirror caps,
Crikey.
rear light covers. Any thread that you have on the car, you can't get paint in because when you come to put a bolt in it after the fact, when you're putting it together, you won't be able to go in.
So every bolt hole and every thread space you have to bunk.
Yep. Because imagine you go to fit your boot lid again. It has paint in it.
Paint in it.
You're holding it with your head trying to get it on.
Yeah.
And there's paint in the thread and you're trying to get a bolt in.
Someone goes, Lewis.
Yeah.
What's
I've been told off by the fitters a few times before, so I learned never to do it again.
Many holes.
Oh yeah.
Stuff you don't think about, isn't it? Wow. Okay. Do you have to treat carbon panels any differently to plastic?
Say for instance when we were stripping the car,
Yeah.
a metal panel, when you get to metal, you tend to stop.
Okay.
With a plastic or a carbon panel, you can carry on going.
Okay.
So you have to be very delicate with carbon and plastic panels when stripping them because you can then put shape in the carbon, in the plastic. So you have to be a lot more delicate with carbon plastic panels.
No stress at all then.
Yeah. I've been helping my dad on cars since I was 5, 6.
Really?
Yeah, in the garage, underneath cars with him.
That's so cool.
He's got an MGB Roadster, which he still has.
Yeah.
He tinkers with that. That's still not done yet.
Is it still not done yet?
We always play with cars.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough to have a classic myself.
Do you?
Got a Mark 1 Escort.
What have you got? Oh, mate, dude.
Yeah, it's
it's
a 4-door, unfortunately, but
brilliant.
I still
it's
love
still
it.
cool.
Yeah,
it's still brilliant.
So my weekend free time spent on cars, work on cars. Life is cars.
Honestly, man, if you can work in something you love doing, it's not work, is it? Oh, yeah. Breaking Bad, man.
Which wing would you prefer to paint?
Well, it's a right-hand drive car, so if I get in that every day,
you want to see the left?
Spot a mistake. Let's do the left-hand side. I love these rooms. Yeah. It's like the room of endless possibility.
Oh, of course. Mix almost any colour you want.
All right, this is it.
This is it.
It is unbelievable stuff. Yeah. Remember being with the guys mixing this. I think they put in 14 pigments into this.
Yeah.
It was mind-blowing
So
stuff.
14 different, 14 different ones of those.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the activator. This will thin it down, help it go off, activate it.
Okay.
So it's not quite hard enough, but it will help aid it drying, basically.
Sure. I can stare into that all day. It's like a constellation of stars.
Yeah. So this one here is for your trigger. So this determines on how much paint you put on. So if it's wound all the way in, you can't pull the trigger.
So is that flow rate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then when I'll keep pressure on the trigger,
you
see me pulling this out.
Yes.
You can pull the trigger right the way in, and that's full chat, as much paint as it will put out.
Full dump.
We don't want that.
We don't want that mode.
So I like to go all the way in.
Yeah.
3.5 turns out, and then on the top, top's the fan. So all the way in is like a point.
Okay.
All the way out is like a wide fan. 2.5 turns out. It's like a medium fan.
So you can personalise your spray technique.
Yeah, it's to each his own. So it's your personal preference. Depends on how fast you like to go, slow you like to go. These were used throughout the Goldfinger cars. Had hundreds of litres of paint through it, and you'd never be able to tell.
No. All right, this is it. We're about to spray the car. Put on the first coat. Stat gun.
Yes.
Okay.
So blowing it off with the stat gun to remove the static, any dirt, debris that's on it.
One thing that you can't actually appreciate when you're in here is obviously they've got the skill of the application in itself, but you've got all of these cables constantly hooked up to you, and you've got to be aware of them because in a minute that's got fresh paint on it. And what you don't want to do is come around, clip your tank or your belt or all of these pipes on your newly sprayed Aston. So basically do all of the outer edge and then we'll work in.
Yeah.
No pressure. Lewis has given me the job. I mean, he's literally cracking on with his job and he said, you're going to spray this now. So he might regret this in a minute, but here we go.
Perfect.
There's all these extra components that you're forgetting about. Like, I'm so focused on getting the spray right that I'm getting tangled up in all my own pipes. You've also got to watch your proximity, because you might end up banging a panel that was clean 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, so now just paint it from the centre first. Watch your line.
Yeah.
Perfect. You can see here where it's a bit lighter.
Yeah.
You just need to bring it a little bit closer.
Okay.
You should be aiming for your next coat. The bottom of the fan should be about 2 to 3 inches below it, so you have quite a tight overlap, if you like.
Okay, so a few things I'm picking up on right here is the speed, first of all, at which Lewis works. Basically, in the time I've strung together this sentence, that sail's done. It's taking me 5 times that long in order to just put the first coat on this. And there's techniques like the overlap of your last stroke. You don't want to go too far down under it, otherwise you end up leaving a gap. And when you're concentrating on not leaving a gap on your first stroke, then your distance and proximity from the panels change. So then you end up putting on more or less than the coat that you just sprayed. So these guys become like human robots. I mean, they're sort of, look how fast he's doing that. And his proximity from panel is always the same. It's amazing. Different world in there. It's a different world. Hey, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's I think one of the things that, I mean, I was so focused on the application, I forgot about the 2 pipes hanging off me and my proximity to the other components in there, which we just spent some time cleaning and prepping. As soon as you touch one of those, you got to go back and start again. Next phase, real application. Gonna leave all of that to Lewis. It's one of those moments where when your head hits the pillow at the end of the night, you go, yeah, that actually did just happen today. You know, we mixed this paint. I mixed this paint 2 years ago. It was originally for a very special edition DBX. That went for sale around the world. We created this paint, and it came off the back of a technology that these guys developed, a Valkyrie program. So we've used Valkyrie paint layering techniques, 14 different compounds in this pigment to create this, and then we tweaked it to make it our own. And now here we are, with my own DBS, in the booth, with Lewis, spraying the panels. It's just unbelievable.
And of course, it only comes alive when you put the clear coat on top.
I can't wait. When the clear coat goes on, it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
So it restarts the pop.
Yeah,
And the other part of it is then flattening and polishing. Of course. To make it perfect.
It's quite a lot of stages involved, aren't there?
Massive amount.
Massive amount of stages.
We'll put it in the paint booth, in the light booth here.
Incredible.
To make sure that it's absolutely perfect. That we have that mirror finish.
Yeah.
And that's where the skill.
So is that where you take out the orange peel as well?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'll just be a glass booth.
Yeah. So once it's had its clear coat, it looks shiny, but it's slightly orange peely.
Yes.
And then we then take it off the sander and we flatten it back so it all goes matte. When it's full matte, then we know it's completely flat.
Okay.
And then we take the polishing machine and then polish carefully the luster back into it.
Bring it back.
But of course, there is a finite window for us to do that, because once the clear coat goes hard, it's like a brick. So you can't polish it anymore.
Really?
So I have to do what's called slightly green.
So it's not like 48 hours or something? Or?
It's a bit longer than that with the dry press we have.
Okay.
It's on a low bake system.
Right. Okay. So
if you leave it too long, you
bit of a window.
Yeah. Gives you a window to just flash it, polish it, and then it'll look beautiful.
Honestly, the excitement to see this complete. I can't wait.
So now the final coat's applied, we check around with a light to look for any bits of dirt or scratches or any imperfections that we need to go back over before we do a drop coat on it and lacquer it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just going around checking all the edges, making sure they're not transparent and making sure there's no bits of dirt that I have to go back over before we drop it and lacquer it.
So while Lewis is doing his thing, we took a quick break. Effectively, we've come across what is exactly how my DBS looked before it went in for any work. So that's how it did look, anyone who's joining the channel right now. And the next time you see it, well, it'll look green, but a very special green. Next stage for us is gloss, and then after that, we've got to let it settle for a while before it goes into a completely different stage, which we're going to share with you next time.
basically when you do a drop coat, all that lands on the panel is like a mist, if you like. So it's just metallic, evening out the panel.
Like sheen,
so if you do, like, you know when you were doing your 50% coat,
yes.
If you've done that too much with the drop coat, that could even out the patchiness and the stripiness, if you like.
Yeah.
So it's called technically a control coat.
Okay.
So you dust it on, and it's meant to even out if there's any patchy bits or stripy bits.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, obviously, it's not it's not magic, but it sort of gives you that blanket effect, if you like. Now for the shiny stuff.
Slap on some shiny stuff.
Yeah.